We're going to have a scripture reading from Psalms chapter 90, verse 1 to 6 by Tamara McFarlane. She'll come and read for us.
Psalm 90, verses 1 to 6. O Lord, you have always been our home. Before you created the hills or brought the world into being, you are eternal.
Our next scripture reading will be by Amelia HEMANS, and she'll be reading from Revelations 21, verse 1 to 8. We have also Alea Scurry and Nina Scurry, the nieces. They're all joining. Wonderful. Let's give them a hand as they come.
Good morning, church. The Bible reading will be taken from Revelations 21, verses 1 to 8. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, adorned for her husband.
I heard a loud shout from the throne saying, Look, God's home is now among his people. He will live with them and they will be his people. God himself will be with them. He will wipe every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death or sorrow or crying or pain. All these things are gone forever.
Then the one who sits on the throne said, And now I make all things new. Write this, because these words are true and can be trusted. And he said, It is done. I am the first and the last, the beginning and the end. To anyone who is thirsty, I will give the right to drink from the spring of the water of life without paying for it.
He who overcomes shall inherit all things. I will be his God, and he shall be my son. Cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Amen.
This speech is dedicated to my first friend and my hero in one. My dad was the father that would explain something for hours and educate me instead of asking me why I don't know it. He was the father that would sit for me for hours and listen to me to make sure that I was never misunderstood. He was the father and friend in one every young girl deserved. The father that watched all my cartoons with me and showed interest in anything that I loved. My father was the man that would tell a story for so long you would regret even asking him anything, whilst also telling you 1,000 stories at once. Trust and believe me when I tell you he had a story for every day, every subject, every place, and even everything that went down in history. My father was my forever friend. He was my everything all in one, because no matter what or when I needed him, he was always there for me. He was the person who always believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. I could never do wrong in his eyes. My father saw everything in me that I never saw in myself, and for that I will forever be grateful for him. My father put me on the highest pedestal throughout my whole life, whilst also holding my hand throughout the whole journey. He was my therapist as I was his, and we helped each other so much every day. Just to have someone genuine to listen to you, no matter what the topic was or the vitalness of the situation, meant everything to me and him. My father was the man who taught me to love myself, for me and me only. He taught me that I didn't need to fit into any category because I was special, and he made sure to engrave the word special into my brain. He taught me to not be common because I was one in a million, and I don't know where I would be today without his advice. My father never put on a front or acted as a man who never had feelings. If I poured my heart out to him, I'd get the same in return, with a lot of tears. He taught me my value before I could even understand the concept of any of it. My father went through a lot with his illness, but he never showed that side to us, as he was our one and only hero. He went on to loving us day to day, even when he couldn't take anymore. He is the reason that I will forever be selfless, because he chose his love over us, over every trial and tribulation that he had to go through. And for that I shall respect and express admiration for him. He was our father, our friend, our get out of jail free card when we broke one of my mom's ornaments. He was our Google, our teacher, our saviour, our builder, and our everything. He was the man that would make sure he was home every birthday at 12 just to sing and dance with us. He was the man that would do everything in his power to make all of us happy, because that's all he lived for, us. Watching my father love my mother as I grew taught me that love is real, despite what happens in the world, because he appreciated my mother so much he couldn't express it all. He loved her so much. Every party, he had a blue plastic bag with food, walking up and down for my mom. He was the man that would give us his last just to buy some toys we thought we needed. The toys aren't important, but it's the principle that he would have done anything to make us happy. He was us and we were him. His presence alone would light up your entire world, because he, in fact, was one in a million. No matter what life threw at him, he would play basketball with it, and that just sums up the type of person he was and will forever be. My father did his best every day battling his illness, so for that I can't be mad or confused. I just have to be grateful. Grateful to know that I got a chance to know him. I got the chance to be his princess forever. I got the chance for him to be proud of everything that I have accomplished. I will forever tell your stories and say your name, because we could never forget someone like you, Dad. We could never just move on from someone like you, and although that hurts, your love for us was so boundless that you will forever be with us. Every step we take, you'll be watching us. I hear and I see you everywhere, and days when I feel empty, I just know it's you who brings joy into me and helps me get up and get going, because that's who you are, Dad. You're our king and leader, so if we ever get lost, I know you'll be at the end of the tunnel with the biggest light God has ever made. In spite of the fact that this may seem like a goodbye, it would never be, Dad, because you're still to see me do everything you said I can do while making you so, so proud. And I thank you for living for us regardless of what you had been going through, because I can't even begin to imagine your day-to-day pain. But I'm just glad you will always know I'm so ever proud of you, as to why you will always be my hero. I love you always and forever, Dad.
Morning, everyone. Before I start, I just want to apologize on behalf of my older brother, Kashka. Unfortunately, he didn't get the opportunity to be here, but he sent his love to Cheryl and the kids, and his thanks to every friend and family member who's made it out this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you all for being here today as we gather to honor and celebrate the life of my beloved brother, DWANYE, aka SCUBA. I am Jermaine. My older brother, Kashka, is not here. And it is both a privilege and a deeply emotional task to stand before you to share this tribute about the incredible person my brother was. DWANYE was just not a sibling. He was my younger brother, a constant friend, a confidant. In the beginning, we had a love-hate relationship. You see, I never met my brother until I was 10 years old. You know, the Jamaican thing goes, yeah, my father's got a child with a different mother, so I never met him until I was 10 years old. So imagine when my brother brought him home for a short visit over the holidays. I suddenly had to share everything I had with this little man. Who was commandeering my toys, my clothes. He wanted to eat my food. You name it, anything I had, he was taking it. Yeah. My older sister and even my mother were very affectionate and protective over my little brother. Sometimes I thought they loved him more than how they loved me, because I was a child and I didn't understand. We fought every single day. Yeah, we never missed no day. Every single day when he came over the first time to visit, we fought. Fought every day. Yeah? One day, while me and him were fighting, our next door neighbor, my friend, decided that he was gonna push DWANYE. Remember, you know, me and DWANYE was fighting, yeah? And then my friend pushed DWANYE. Yo, I never been so hungry in my life, yeah? Me and DWANYE turned around and we beat the hell out of this kid, yeah? I'll never forget that. And that was the first time when I realized that, you know what? No matter how annoying he seemed to me at the time, I loved him dearly. Yeah? As we got older, we grew closer. He was always there for me when I needed him. When we moved to the UK, it was the first time we actually lived together in the same house. Our relationship as brothers really thrived. We spent a lot of time together, especially that first summer. There was a lot of competition over everything. Basketball, football, dressing, and of course, girls. I remember us going out all the time, just enjoying ourselves, enjoying our youth. We had a blast living together, building a close bond as brothers and sharing in every adventure and challenge that life brought our way. Some of my fondest memories of the way we were during the summer holidays that we spent with our Auntie Gracia and Uncle Martin in Jamaica and our little cousin Guyende. We traveled all around testing our basketball skills and our football talents against players in nearby areas. We also had a friendly competition about who could get the most girls, as people would put it back then. But those holidays were also a significant time in our development as young men. Aunt Gracia would tell us stories about our father, the kind man he was, his characteristic, both good and indifferent. We learned that he was educated, he was charismatic, he was exuberant, and also a ladies' man, and someone who lived life to the full. All those were qualities that my brother Dwayne possessed in abundance. He was intelligent. You hear his daughter said he could have a conversation about anything. Yeah, and to be honest, I still haven't met anybody who I've discussed sport with who have challenged me how Dwayne has challenged me when we were talking about football, basketball, or anything like that. I went everywhere. I haven't found anybody to challenge me as much as he did. He was magnetic, full of life. Yeah, he lived his life to the full. And yes, a bit of a lady. Sorry about that, Sherry. His sense of adventure and boundless enthusiasm made every moment unforgettable. He had an uncanny ability to make even the simplest activities feel extraordinary. Dwayne was a person of immense strength and character. He faced challenges with resilience and determination that inspired everyone around him, including me. He embodied perseverance and always stayed positive, no matter the odds. This was especially true in how he dealt with the heart condition that he was dealing with, beating the odds and surviving far beyond the 5 to 6 years expected after a major organ transplant. Every time I saw him after the transplant, except for 2 occasions, he was upbeat and full of life. The last time I saw him before he passed away, we talked for hours. He was hopeful, full of plans for what he'd do when he got out of hospital. What I will always cherish about my brother is his genuine nature. He had a heart of gold and was always willing to lend a helping hand if he could. He was a protector. Yeah, he was my little brother, yeah, but anybody mess with me, yeah, they had to listen, they had to go through the way and they had to talk to him, yeah. Even when I didn't want to start anything, he was ready to start something, yeah. He was a protector. Especially protective of his family. He was a family man through and through, always there for Cheryl and the kids. One thing I deeply admire was his loyalty sometimes to a fault. Even though I was only 1 year older than him, he respected me as a big brother and put up with my endless lectures about being a better person and giving his life to Jesus Christ. Yes, I am a Christian. Yeah, and I used to go to town on it. Yeah, I could call myself a preacher, the amount of sermons that I preached to him. Yeah, about giving his life to God. As I stand here, I'm filled with gratitude for the time we had together. Though I wish we had more time, I'm comforted by the countless memories we created and the lessons we taught each other. His legacy lived on in his family, in the many friendships he built over the years. Just look around you and you will see his family and so much friends. I never told him enough how proud I was of him. The last time we spoke, 2 days before he passed away, we talked for hours, reminiscing about the things we'd gotten up to in recent years. Tears came to his eyes and he said, "Brother, I am proud of you." Yeah, he did say that. Started crying, I started crying. He told me that he was proud of me. And I told him that I was proud of him. After his passing, I spoke to many of his friends and relatives. His sister-in-law told me he was a family man and that Cheryl and his kids were his life. Something I knew. At the night, I heard how much he was loved. How he was a peacemaker. Yeah, one of the selectors at the night says that he was a peacemaker. And how deeply he'll be missed. All of these things told me one thing: he was a good man. Yeah? This is important for me to stress because growing up, there was a negative connotation. There was negative connotations that hovered over our life as children. Before I met Auntie Gracia, all I ever heard that was our father was a dangerous man. In Jamaican term, a bad man. Yeah? That's all I heard about my father, that he was a bad man before I met my auntie. And that's we were destined to follow in his footsteps. The story is painted only one side of who our father was. And for a long time, that was the only image I had. If Dwayne and I had lived according to those narrow and incomplete expectations, I suppose I would have been killer one, and SCUBA would have been killer two. Because I tell you, people used to tell me all the time, you're going to be a bad man, or you're going to be a gunman, you're going to be, there was nothing good at the early stage of my life, yeah? But I'm proud of the life that Dwayne lived. I am proud of his legacy as a father, as a family man, as a brother, as a friend, a good man, not a bad man. Dwayne, thank you for being my brother and my friend. Thank you for the love, the laughter, and the countless memories. I will carry your memory in my heart. Forever, and strive to honor you in all that I do. I'll try my hardest to support Cheryl and the kids to the best of my ability. In closing, I like to share a quote that reminds me of my brother. Brothers are like stars. You may not always see them, but you know they're always there. When your love and your legacy will live on in all of us. Thank you for everything. And thank you everyone for being here today to help us to honor our brother. Thank you.
To come now with the eulogy.
Hi, good morning. I just want to thank everybody who is here for coming out to remember my baby brother. I am Angelique Angel HEMANS, Angel given to me by Dwayne. So I'll start his eulogy now. Albert Dwayne HEMANS was born on September the 7th, 1981, to Albert HEMANS and Mardell Green at the Kingston Public Hospital. He was the last of 4 children for my father and the 4th of 7 children for his mother. Dwayne lived with his mother until the age of 1, when he was taken to live with her Uncle Pops and his partner, Miss Icy. While growing up in downtown Kingston, Dwayne attended St. Annie's Infant and Primary School. He later went on to Tivoli Gardens High School. Dwayne was a very spoiled little boy because Uncle Pops and Miss Icy was an older couple without any children of their own, so they doted on Dwayne. Even at his young age, he was in charge. When Miss Icy was selling downtown, Dwayne was the one in control of the money bag, wearing it around his waist. He was not only spoiled by our Uncle Pops and Miss Icy, he was also spoiled by everyone who lived in Big Yard. Big Yard was 64 Pink Lane, where my father's family lived. So all my other uncles and auntie, they really spoiled Dwayne because he was Dukey's last boy, and he was the only child of Dukey that they had any contact with. Because by this time, my mom had taken my brother and I away, and they didn't have any contact with us. Dwayne, I was told, would roam the streets of downtown Kingston with the older men in our family and our older cousin, especially Casper. Dwayne had free reign, allowed to come and go as he pleased, and this would later lead to my brother struggling with authority and structure in his life later on because he was allowed to basically to get away with blue murder. Apparently, one of his favorite hangout spots when he was growing up was Modern Funeral Home. In writing this eulogy, I've been told my brother could give you an account of every dead person who entered that funeral home and what they died of. I recall him telling me that he was taken to said funeral home by our Uncle Denny to spit in the face of the man, to spit in the face of the main person involved in our father's murder. When Dwayne was 9 years old, they found the remains of our father's body, and a funeral was held to lay his remains to rest. This is where I met Dwayne for the first time. I was 13, he was 9. This same night, Dwayne came home with us. I don't know what it was, maybe because by this time he had lost Miss Icy, and here he had finally a brother and sister that belonged to him. We could not have left him even if we tried. It was also the night I gained my first child, even though I was a child myself. From that point, Dwayne came regularly on weekends, school holidays, and when war would flare up in downtown Kingston. He would eventually come to live with my mom permanently, but this was when my brother and I were here in the UK. During this time, the rivalry to end all rivalry ensued between Jermaine and Dwayne. My aunt reminded me the other day it was mostly over food, because Jermaine used to think my mom gave Dwayne more food than him, but I think this jealousy was on a different level. Jermaine was marking his territory and wanted this little boy to know who the boss was and did not wish to share his siblings and cousins. Guess who was pulled in the middle and getting it from all sides? I was accused of favoring and loving Dwayne more from my brothers, sisters, and cousins. It was not that I loved Dwayne more, but even as a child, I realized that it must be hard to come into a house with 10 other children where he was only fully related to 2 of those children and 2 adults that he didn't really know. So yes, I did pay him extra attention because I did not want him to feel left out. I need not have worried. Dwayne quickly found and cemented his place in his new family. He was adored by my mother, and all the kids took to this little boy with all his amazing stories from the street of West Kingston. There were so many kids, especially in the holidays, when we would go from 10 to 15 or more, that we all had our own little clique, and his clique was made up of Sash, aka Fatty, Kim, and Terry, but he was really close with everyone. This would continue even when he moved to England and met the rest of my family. One of the things Dwayne was good at was spelling, and every time he would come with a new word, teasing, testing, especially Jermaine. If he didn't get it right, that would be the weekend over for myself, because I would have to be the referee. Dwayne would be teasing Jermaine, and Jermaine would want to kill Dwayne. One weekend, the word of the weekend was supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Yes, that is a word, and Dwayne brought that word to the house. I remember sitting on the veranda watching and listening to both of them, wishing 2 things. 1, let this little boy not come to me with this foolishness, because there's no way I can spell that word. And 2, Lord, I am begging you to let Jermaine spell this word correctly, because I want to have a weekend of peace. Glory be, Jermaine spelled the word correctly, and peace was restored. I could have a good weekend, and they could go and terrorize the neighbors' children with the word. Apart from then, the only other time they would get along growing up was when we went to my Auntie Gracia,
and Uncle Martin, and they were ganging up on our cousin Gayende. Fast forward to Dwayne now living with my mom in Portmore full-time. I was at this time living here. My mother was big on three things: education, manners, and structure. A time to be in, a time to be out. Whenever Dwayne had a problem with the structure, the conversation with my mom would go something like this: Angie, you need to talk to your brother, you know. All of the time, he was her golden boy. What my mom didn't know at this time about her innocent stepson was that he was already a ladies' man and had several women after him and spending their money looking after him. This secret was only disclosed to me for the purpose of this eulogy. It would happen that Dwayne would have a run-in with one of the families in the neighborhood where we lived. And because my brother got told off by my stepdad for this, he decided he wanted to go back to Pink Lane to cool out. This wasn't a good idea. But this quickly backfired, as while he was there, policemen stormed the yard and he was held to the ground with guns to his head. This was told to me by my brother. He said he would have been killed had the ladies in the yard not begged for them not to kill him and to tell the police that no, he's not a bad man. So he expeditiously went back to Portmore. On speaking to him over the phone, the decision was made for him to come here. Because I know, for one, as soon as he wasn't happy in Portmore anymore, he would end up back in downtown Kingston, and I couldn't afford for my brother to be killed. Dwayne arrived here on July 10th, 2001. When I went to pick him up at the airport, he came out beaming. And I was like, oh, he looks happy. So I said, Dwayne, how long did you get? My brother looked at me and he said, they gave me 1 day. I'm like, why are you laughing? I could have pinched him for the first time. In my role as surrogate mom, I could have pinched him because I was thinking, what did you tell these people for them only to give you 1 day? Anyway, on the train journey across London, I'm sat on the train. Dwayne is so happy. He's looking around, looking at everything. He's chatting away. He even goes to me, Angel, but you lose one of your earrings. I'm like, yes, Dwayne. The only expensive thing I own in my life, I've just lost in the airport hugging you. So let's not even pay any attention to that. All this time I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do? He's only been given 1 day. There's nothing I can do in 1 day. I can't get him sorted out in 1 day. Everything I've arranged will now have to change. The plan was to go live with my cousin and his wife because they had a flat, no kids, and I had just moved out on my own in my little box room, so I couldn't have him. So the plan was to go live with my cousin, and I'm like, okay, now we can't go live with my cousin because the first place the immigrations are going to go is to my cousin's house. So what do I do with this little boy? And we were on our way to my auntie's flat in South London. And when we got there, my other auntie, my eldest auntie was there as well, and we were all there, we were all talking, we were like, what are we going to do? So my auntie says, you know what, you're going to have to come back up to Birmingham with me. So, and that's how Dwayne ended up in Birmingham. He moved in with my 3 aunts, my brothers, cousins. It was a packed house. But Dwayne again was welcomed with open arms from family members he was meeting for the first time. People like Auntie Valerie, Auntie Marva, Andre, Marika, Tamika, everyone else he knew from back home. But they all made him feel welcome. I remember him saying to me before that September, as my brother said, it was an amazing summer because one, my brother was here. I knew for certain he was out of danger. And I remember him saying to me before his birthday coming up in September, Angel, you know, me never have a birthday party yet though. So I looked at him, I'm like, well, I've never had, I didn't say this out loud, I said it in my head. Well, I've never had a birthday party myself, and I just spent all my money to get you here, so I mean, I know how you are going to have party. Anyways, As always, his sister made it happen. With the help of my aunties, we had a surprise birthday party for Dwayne. Those are some of the photos I will cherish of my brother. He was so happy because it's something that he wanted. But again, structure and authority would be a big issue. And when Dwayne decided on his lifestyle and he was spoken to about it, he didn't like being told what to do, so he ended up leaving. But even in leaving, the doors were still open to Dwayne. He could turn up at any aunt, any cousin, whenever he wanted. It was around about this time that Dwayne was introduced to Cheryl by our cousin Shane. They would go on to start a life together and remain together until his death, which was over 20 odd years. They had 4 daughters together. Dwayne was a very involved and loving father to his children. He was also a very loyal friend. Dwayne was what they call a roadman. He was into the dancehall culture. He was into the streets. This lifestyle, coupled with his good looks, winning smile, and charming ways, would lead to him having another child. In this instance, Albert HEMANS III was just the same as Albert HEMANS II. He was indeed well and truly my father's child. Fast forward to January 2017. Fast forward to January 2017. I'll never forget this time. I'm not good with dates, but I remember this because I just started my master's program at uni. And it was a week after that I got the call that Dwayne had collapsed with sudden onset cardiomyopathy. When we were called to the hospital, it was myself and Cheryl, and we went into a meeting with the cardiac team. They said to us Dwayne had roughly 2 weeks to live if he didn't have a heart transplant. At this time, they said he was second on the list for the whole of the UK because that's how bad it was. They said there's nothing they could do. There is the option to put him on mechanical circulatory support, but that's not a long-term option. Without a heart transplant, he would die. So we left, we went away praying, everything. I remember one day pulling up to uni, and I got a call from the hospital, and they said, we found a heart. You need to come now because we're preparing your brother for surgery. I just pulled up. I said to my friend, you need to go tell my personal tutor I won't be in today. And then I drove all the way back from Derby to QE. When we got to QE and we went in, the cardiac team sat down with us. They say, unfortunately, we won't be able to use the heart because every time we touch the heart, it died. So he has to go back on the list. This time, he was placed at number 1 on the list for the whole UK. Now, yeah, I'm a Christian. I believe in miracles, and I know the Lord works in miracles. But I left that meeting thinking, okay, my brother is about to die. He's a black man. They've found one heart already. There's no way they're going to find a second heart. Because number one, the black community, we are not organ donors. It's not our big thing. Anyways, another call came in. They found a heart. Need to come to the hospital. They're preparing Dwayne for transplant. On February the 2nd, 2017, Dwayne was given his new heart. I want to just take this moment to thank the family of the donor. Dwayne got the heart of a young man who was only 21 years old. So, yeah, I want to thank them. Hold on. The heart would give Dwayne 8 extra years to watch his children grow up and spend time with his family. At year 6, Dwayne's body tried to reject the heart. Again, I was consultation with the medical team, I remember talking to the chief surgeon one day, and I said, what's happening? He says, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't look good. It could go either way. So happened I was at work, and one of the consultants on duty that day was a cardiac consultant as well. I said to Dr. Murray, I said, Dr. Murray, I just was on the phone with the QE. This is what they've told me. He says, yes, it doesn't look good. He says, it could go either way. But it really doesn't look good. But Dwayne fought, and he beat the odds, and he came home. Fast forward again to January. I don't know what's wrong with January. January is not a month for us. Fast forward to January this year, I got the call again. You need to come. Dwayne is in the hospital. His body is again rejecting the heart. I got the call. I was driving down at the motorway, and the heart transplant team called me on the phone, and they were saying, oh, they're doing everything they can to save the heart. And I said to the lady, I remember saying to her, I says, is there anything else that you can do? She says, we're doing everything we can do. We still have one more thing that we can do if everything else fails. We can put him on mechanical circulatory support. Anyways, we got to QE. I came in, touched my brother, he was asleep. He said, Angel, are you that? I said, yeah, I'm on reach. When I saw my brother in the hospital bed, hooked up to machines. Jesus. Oh gosh, yeah. But they were saying that everything they were doing was working, and they weren't lying, because I looked at the numbers myself. I remember looking at his blood gases, and I'm like, oh, these numbers are improving from when he went in to where he is now. Everything is looking good, everything is looking good. And then I went back up to York, because I don't live in Birmingham. And every day I would call them on the phone. And it got to the point where the nurse would come on and say, Angel, are you that? Dwayne say, it would be you, you know. And I called every day. He was doing better. He was doing better. On the Tuesday, I got the call that he was stepped down from critical care to coronary care. I came off the phone and I said to my husband, oh, Dwayne has been stepped down, you know. He says to me, but you don't look happy. I says, I don't want to celebrate just yet. I will celebrate when he makes it home. Unfortunately, it was not to be. The most precious gift that my brother has ever been given in his life went into cardiac arrest on the morning of the 6th of February, it was 5 a.m. when I got the first call. The nurse called and she said, you need to come now. He said, you need to come now. I says, I can't come now. I says, I live in New York. He says, but that's far. I says, I know.
Angela?
I says, I'll get somebody to come to my brother. I was calling my other brother. I was calling Sash. I got Sash. She says, okay, she will go. At 5:45, my phone rang again. It was the hospital. Again, this time it was the doctor. She says, is this Albert's sister? I say, yes, it is. She says, are you by yourself? I said, my brother is dead. I know. I didn't say to her. She started, she's like, I don't know what you know. I said, just give me the bad news, I'm ready. I thought I was so strong, I thought I was ready. She said, unfortunately, your brother passed away through my phone. I don't know where it landed, but it landed somewhere. I called my cousin, I started screaming, you can't go, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, so I'm just getting to the end. I want to, my brother, this is just a personal thing to you now, my brother. Wherever you are, to you I say, you are relevant in life and will remain relevant in death. Because I will carry your heart in my heart wherever I go.
This February, Ayla and I started our first fundraiser event for the British Art Foundation, and we will continue to do so every February in your honor. I want to finish by saying this. I weep, but not for me. I weep for you, my brother, because of all the tomorrows that you will miss. It is not my loss that makes me sad. It's thinking what you will never have.
Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors and their works do follow. For as much as it has pleased Almighty God in his great mercy, make himself the soul of our dear we therefore commit him.
Where's the whiskey? That's in the back, man. I'll give it back later.
Just, you get one of them news thing for them.
Where you please? I'm going to be 50 seconds. I'm going to get contact with you. Where you remember about it.
Yeah, the other thing I'm going to do.
No, but I'm going to see how soon.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. So even though I'm going to stay for the next 2 weeks after that phase, I'll be at my account. Yeah, and your mom, exactly. I'm not going to mom's house by myself. So break that. Very smart. Shani, why is it going down like that? Shani.
I'm good, no worries here, I'm good. I keep to my side.
It's finished.
But it's too big for them.
There's no cream. Oh God, looks like it's done. Oh, it's alright then. Cool. Safe space. I'll put a bag of Pretty one, sweetie. Pretty one, sweetie. Come anywhere.
Come give me a good shot, please.
You only got to go by myself. I'm for the news show. That's two for me. Okay. Yeah, give me one, please. Jenna, where's Royal? Can everyone make me skip this? Milan. Somebody keep your voice down. Where's Tasha?
Birmingham, good night, good night. We just say condolences to SCUBA Birmingham and his family. Big up inner circle corner. Big up all of the people in here who come for set for give them, them love and respect to the family. You know what I say? Put your right hand across your chest and your left hands up if you know say you miss SCUBA. Me know you're rough part, but enough time you could die young. Wish I could turn back time just to tell the ice I'm in love. To tell the ice I'm in love. SCUBA in drop out it a harness. Can't believe in love when you see it. In my sleep, in my thoughts, in me a picture. Think about the talks we have to make with life better. Me I try to stay strong, but the pain what I feel for no say him gone and leave him for me. Him have an energy for make a dumb man see you gone. But this is not the end. One day we'll meet again. Them take your body, but them can't take your soul in life. Whoever all your SCUBA you're gone. But this is not the end. One day we'll meet again. Them take your body, but them can't take your soul in life. Whoever roll here, they wait for me heart when they see your daughter. Can't help but cry enough high water. They know say you're gone, take away enough laughter. When me I go tell her can't find the answers, never play my part. But she don't need her father. And every time she cry, yeah, you she asks her. And every time she smiles, you see her tonight. You're gone, but this is not the end. One day we'll meet again. Them take your body, but them can't take your soul in a even wherever roll your SCUBA you're gone. But this is not the end.